Steve Gardner, USA Today, was out in Miami covering the All-Star Game. Kind enough to join us for a couple moments. Steve, I know we only have you for a couple moments. I appreciate the time, pal. How are you?
I'm good, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing well. I thought it was a fun game last night. I thought it was good to watch. You get the old man, you get the veteran, if you will, Cano with the big blast off Wade. What were your takeaways just overall from the game last night?
Well, I think one of the things is that we're conditioned to think that this day and age, you've got home runs dominating everything. And, the game-winning run did come on a home run, but it was really the pitchers who were the stars of the show. I think 22 or 23 strikeouts total in the 10 innings. So, yeah, it was pitching that dominated hitting in this particular occasion, and we got to see some of the best ones.
All right, we've been talking about this, and I'll move on after this comment for today regarding this. So you saw Aaron Judge the other day with the home run contest, 47 homers. Last night, 0 for 3. Listen, I'm sure there's nerves factor in when you have some of these young players. Manfred said you're probably looking at this kid being the face of baseball, certainly coming out of nowhere, and maybe one of those young faces of the franchise of the New York Yankees. For some reason, it got on Judge versus Trout. I'm not even going to go that route. But how do you not, and not you, how do people not recognize the numbers this kid's putting up, and we're only halfway through the baseball season? You're talking about running away with the AL Rookie of the Year, maybe contending for the AL MVP if the Yankees make a run and get in, and the fact that he's also vying for the Triple Crown. So just how special is this kid and what he's done first half of the season?
Oh, it's tremendously special, and I think the fact that he's an easygoing guy who smiles a lot, he's very likable. I think that helps as well. And when you get somebody who can stand up under the spotlight of the New York market, I think that's a plus for him. It just makes him somebody that people gravitate toward. And even after the game in the AL clubhouse last night, everybody wanted to talk to Aaron Judge, despite the fact that he went 0 for 3 and didn't really factor in the outcome. But there was the biggest crowd around his locker, and it's because of that personality and the Herculean things that he does on the field as well.
You look at the second half of the baseball season, Houston's 60-29. They're running away with the AL West. Their offense is ridiculous. I was looking at these numbers last night. You can potentially have 6 to 8 players that are going to hit well over 20 home runs. And I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the year that Baltimore had all those homers, they had, was it Palmeiro and Brady, Anderson, and I think it was they had, 5 or 6 players hit 20 or more? Now you're talking about 6 or 8 players that might hit 20-25, and you also look at their pitching as well with Keuchel, with Peacock, with McCullers Jr. Are the Houston Astros the best team in baseball right now?
They are, or the Dodgers are. I think it's pretty much a dead heat. The one thing, though, you mentioned the Astros and their offense. It's just so outstanding. And when you've got Carlos Correa, you've got Jose Altuve, you've got George Springer, all of those guys that were on the All-Star team and starting in the game, and they scored more runs than anybody else in baseball. So that is a potent offense right there. And you're right, the pitching, in fact, I think the Astros could even decide to make a move and add a starting pitcher for the stretch run. If they can do that, a Sonny Gray type or even a Jose Quintana, I think that makes them prohibitive favorites in the AL.
To the NL, how imperative is it for the Washington Nationals to make a move by the deadline and try to solidify that bullpen?
It's very imperative. In fact, they may have to make more than one move to solidify that bullpen. Guys like Pat Neshek and Brad Hand were asked a lot about that over the course of the All-Star week. They are relief pitchers. Not necessarily closers. I think could help the Nationals bullpen, but yeah, they do need a closer. They need somebody to come in, shut down the other team, a David Robertson type, as we've heard his name mentioned since spring training. I think they need to make not one, but 2 moves at least to strengthen that pen.
Go back to the AL. You look at the Yankees, you look at the Red Sox. The Yanks are 3.5 back of the Red Sox, but let me give you the dark horse here. Is there any, do you sense Tampa Bay is going to be right there come August and September?
That was an interesting thing, too. Chris Archer, who's one of the best interviews in all of baseball, was asked about that. And, yeah, he's comfortable, and I think the Rays are comfortable with that dark horse status, flying under the radar. But yet, here they are. They're in position right now, which if you weren't looking at the standings, having gotten no mention, virtually all season, you forget about the Rays. But yeah, they've got good offense. Archer can be the ace that they need. And yeah, this is a solid fundamental team. They play very well at home. And, if they can maybe even pass the Yankees, they're even with them in the division, 3.5 behind the Red Sox, get a home playoff game. They could definitely make some noise in the postseason.
Now, two more before I let you get out of here. I know, you look at the Cubs, and the Cubs struggled going into the break. They dropped 4 out of their last 6. They've had some situations with their starting pitcher, some injuries. They had the issue with Schwarber as well, sending him down to the minors. Bryant's kind of had a little bit of a down year as well, starting to creep up with that batting average and some of his numbers. If you're a Cubs fan, is this a first-half lull, or is there some serious issues with this team going forward, especially if Milwaukee continues to play, 550 baseball?
Yeah, I think Cubs fans, first of all, they're very disappointed with the way that the team has performed, being under 500 after winning the World Series and crushing everybody in the NL so convincingly. There's definitely cause for concern. I think, though, that not everybody, especially Cubs fans, are is ready to take the Brewers as a legitimate contender. And I think that's where Milwaukee really has the advantage. Their starting pitching is not great, but it's been better than the Cubs. And I think that's one of the things that, Chicago definitely needs Jake Arrieta and John Lester. They need Kyle Hendricks to come back and be what he was last season, or at least something close. This is the team, and the Cubs' offense has been abysmal compared to last year. So everything has gone wrong for the Cubs. I think Joe Madden and a lot of the players still feel like they can get on a roll, but at some point you've got to get that roll started, and the Cubs just haven't been able to do that yet.
I had this last one before I let you get out of here, because I know you're at the airport and I appreciate a couple moments. Had this, it was a friendly debate with one of my buddies early this morning. So last night you had a bunch of all the great Latin players before the game. I thought that was a wonderful job by Major League Baseball when you saw Carew and Cepeda and Perez and Alomar and Rodriguez and Martinez and Juan Marichal. Now, before I let you get out of here, I'm curious, who is the better pitcher from the Dominican Republic? Was it Martinez, or in your opinion, was it Marichal?
Oh, I didn't get to see Marichal in his prime, but I can't imagine anyone being better than Pedro Martinez was. He was a master at keeping the batters off their game. He was a master at messing with their minds. He was just an artist, and the fact that he didn't throw 100 miles an hour.
Well, I thought you were going to say throw at your head.
Yeah, that's true. But yes, he wasn't. Velocity was not his king. It was his mind. It was his ability to put the ball exactly where he wanted. And I continue to be amazed at his insight, even on TV. He's so smart in terms of the strategy in the game and everything. He's one of my favorite players all time to watch. So definitely Pedro.
I'll tell you, real quick, unrelated. Rodriguez, A-Rod on TV, he can be as good as he wants to be as far as breaking down a game. Yep. If you've had an opportunity to just kind of listen or watch him a little bit, I mean, he knows his stuff. I mean, I give him that. He's a natural when it comes to that.
I agree. As a natural as he was on the field, he's that way as a broadcaster too. So some people kind of have it all, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going home lonely. He's fine. So, all right, my friend, have a safe flight. I appreciate a couple moments. We'll talk next week as second half of baseball gets underway on Friday. So I appreciate a couple moments.
You bet, Rich.
All right, you got it.
We'll catch you again.
All right, you got it. Steve Gardner, good stuff as always.